The House will come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance this morning will be led by Lauren Jimenez from Platte River Academy and Highlands Ranch.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Scholz, please take the roll.
Representatives Becker, Buck, Buckner, Conti, Corum, Court, Del Grosso, Dorr,
Hey, John.
Duran, Everett, Representative Everett, absent, Exum,
One more.
Fields, Fisher, Foote, Garcia, Gardner, Representative Gardner,
Well done.
Absent.
absent, Giroux, Janal, Hamner, Holbert, Hollinghorst, Humphrey, Joshi is excused, Kagan,
Absent.
absent, Kraftharp,
Absent. Oh.
Labuda,
Absent.
Landgraf, Lawrence, Representative Lawrence,
Absent.
I know she's here somewhere. Absent. Levsock. Lee. May. McCann. McLaughlin. McNulty. Representative Lawrence is present. Melton. Mitch Bush. Moreno. I got you. Representative Moreno. Excused. Murray. Navarro. Nordberg. Pabon. Peniston. Pedersen. Primavera. Priola. Rankin. Rosenthal. Ryden. Sane. Representative Gardner and Kagan are present. Salazar. Schaefer.
I don't see him. Me?
Scott.
I knew we were close.
Singer. Sonnenberg. Stevens. Swam. Zabo. Tyler. Vigil. Waller.
Here.
Williams. Wilson. Wright. Young. Speaker Ferrandino.
Absent.
Everyone absent.
Yeah.
62-1. With 62 members present, 2 excused, and 1 absent, a quorum is present. Representative Waller, can you make the motion again? Because I don't see Representative Swam. Representative Waller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move we waive the reading of the journal for February 17th and that it be approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Yes, nailed it.
You did a really good job. We'll see if it passes, actually. You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The motion is passed. Announcements and introductions. Representative Janal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to introduce some wonderful folks in the back left bench there from Clubhouse, Colorado. There's a group called Spirit Crossing that is from Fort Collins, and also Clubhouse of Greeley. These organizations offer access, and they're waving up there in the back, everyone. Thank you. These organizations offer access and support to our developmentally disabled community, and they help with transitional employment and improved well-being with social support and enhanced mental and physical health. Please take some time and say hello to these folks in the back. There are also many more outside of this old Supreme Court chambers, and they will be there till 11:30 or 12. So please drop by and say hello. Thank you.
Representative Peniston.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I have 2 words for you this morning. Be ready. On Thursday, our gifted students come, and they will be here, and they will be interested, and they will be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and asking questions and ready to run the show. So be ready. We have received permission from the speaker to have folding chairs near our desks, so you can actually accommodate them right with you at your desk. So it should be a really fun day.
Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind everybody that on Wednesday, February 19th, from noon till 1 p.m., there is going to be a meeting with the Metropolitan State University of Denver Caucus, which is a great way to learn more about Colorado's Urban Land Grant University and discuss legislative policy proposals with impact to students, faculty, and programs. So once again, that's going to be Wednesday, February 19th, from noon to 1 p.m. in House Committee Room 111.
Any further announcements or introductions? Representative Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, just wanted to bring to your attention one more time, final reminder that tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. in 107 down in the basement, we'll be receiving the briefing of the 2013 Forest Health Report from the Colorado State Forest, U.S. Forest Service, and the Colorado Timber Industries Association. This is for a joint committee of senators and House members on the Ag committees, but I encourage everybody that has federal lands in their districts to maybe come and attend and learn about the Forest Health Report this year. So you're all welcome, 7:30 tomorrow morning.
Seeing no further announcements or introductions, members, please return to your desk. We'll proceed to our next order of business. Third reading of bills, final passage. Madam Majority Leader, can we lay over the first bill?
Yes, we can.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to lay over House Bill 1055 until the end of the calendar.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1055 will lay over to the end of the calendar. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1080.
House Bill 1080 by Representatives McLaughlin and Quorum, also Senator Roberts, concerning a sales and use tax exemption for the Colorado Ute Indians.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move for the passage of House Bill 1080 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1080 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. Representative Moreno, how do you vote? Representative Moreno votes yes. With 63 aye votes, 1 excused and 1 absent, House Bill 1080 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1040.
House Bill 10. House Bill 1040 by Representative McNulty, also Senator Sheffield, concerning criminal provisions relating to drug testing.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move for the passage of House Bill 1040 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1040 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Buckner, Fields, and Fisher. There it goes. Close the machine. With 58 aye votes, 5 no votes, 1 excused, and 1 absent, House Bill 1040 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1174.
House Bill 1174 by Representative Mitch Bush, also Senator Schwartz, concerning the Sunset Review of the Natural Areas Council.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move for the passage of House Bill 1174 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1174 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Landgraf, Tyler. Close the machine. With 54 aye votes, 10 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1174 is passed. Co-sponsors. I guess. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1107.
House Bill 1107, Representative Tyler, also Senator Newell, concerning the authority of the Department of Revenue to offer taxpayers the option to receive electronic notices.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move for the passage of House Bill 1107 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1107 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative McNulty. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1107 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. We'll now proceed to our next order of business. Hold on. Maybe not. Madam Majority Leader, to move us out of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills.
Seeing no objection, the House will proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1031.
House Bill 1031 by Representative Moreno, also Senator Hodge, concerning the weight of motor vehicles that are subject to rate regulation and being towed without the owner's consent.
Representative Moreno. Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1031.
Please tell us what the useless body did.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very technical amendments, just clarifies who will serve on the commission. Ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is to concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1031. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Duran, May, and Williams. Close the machine with 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent. House Bill 1030. The House concurs in Senate amendments to House Bill 1031. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader, for repassage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1031.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the repassage of House Bill 1031 as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives May, McNulty, Sonnenberg, and Stevens. Close the machine with 48 aye votes, 46 aye votes, 18 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent. House Bill 1031 is passed. Co-sponsors. Madam Majority Leader. Oh, close the machine. Sorry. Thank you. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Following our new strategy to keep everybody completely confused, I move that the House proceed out of order for general order, second reading of bills.
Seeing no objection, the House will proceed out of order for consideration of second reading of bills, general orders. Representative Tyler. Seeing no objection, the House will resolve itself in the committee of the whole for consideration of general orders. Representative Tyler will take the chair.
Will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the Majority Leader, and the coat rule is relaxed. Yeah. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 1142 and House Bill 1163 be laid over to the end of the calendar.
The bills will be laid over as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1177.
House Bill 1177, Representative Swam, Senator Talk Trap concerning requirements governing meetings of the boards of county commissioners of larger counties.
Representative Swam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is a bill that came out of committee unanimously. What this bill does in brief is that it gives...
Representative Swam, could you move the bill, please?
Pardon me. Thank you. I move House Bill 1177, and there are no committee reports.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Members, this bill gives county commissioners in counties with more than 100,000 citizens as population more flexibility in terms of how often county commissioners have to have meetings. Currently, these counties are required to have 2 meetings per week throughout the year, except for the months of July and August. Under this bill, it gives them more flexibility in terms of when they have to meet. The reason why it's important, in fact, sometimes now county commissioners finished their business for the week in one meeting, and they know they've finished their meeting. And so what they'll do to comply with the requirement that they have another meeting that week, they'll immediately gavel another meeting to order after the first meeting is concluded, say that there's no business to be considered, and then gavel that meeting to a close. So this bill would simply give them more flexibility in terms of how often they have to meet. I think it's a good government bill. Again, it came out of local affairs unanimously, and I urge an aye vote.
Any objection? All those in favor of House Bill 1177, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. 1177 is adopted. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1194.
House Bill 1194, Representative Giroux, also Senator Lambert, concerning the recreation of the Legislative Digital Policy Advisory Committee.
Representative Giroux.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 1194. There is no committee report.
All right. Please proceed, Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is a really important bill because, well, actually, this bill is important to your children, your grandchildren, your great-great-grandchildren, and probably the DAR. What this bill will do is it will ensure that your image, your digital image, and your voice is forever preserved for posterity. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none. The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1194. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. 1194 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1121.
House Bill 1121 by Representative Kraft, Tharp, and Giroux, also Senator John, concerning notice requirements for county highway contract bid solicitations in connection with increasing the threshold value of a contract, which the county must advertise in the newspaper in the county or post notice in the county courthouse from $5,000 to the amount of which a contract requires a contractor's bond.
Representative Kraft, Tharp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1121. There is no committee report.
Please proceed.
We are partners here.
I'm glad to see your partners now. Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank my, what are you? My stand-in. Thank you. My double. I want to thank my double for being there for me. Members, what this bill does is it's a bill that CCI and Jefferson County requested it. It will allow counties to simplify their process whereby if there's a small fix that needs to be made with the county, they don't have to advertise for bidders. They can just contact one or two or how many other people they want to have take a look at it, have them take a look at it, see where it fits in their schedule, and just have them do the job. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Kraft Tharp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Giroux. Yes, this bill does increase the threshold value of the contract for which a county must advertise in the newspaper. It aligns it with the contractor's bond. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill actually doesn't do a whole lot. What it does is say if a county feels like putting something out for bid, they may, and they align it with the bonding levels required by the state. It doesn't require that they put work out for bid, and it actually broadens the window that allows them to self-perform work, which, in my opinion, puts them in direct competition with private sector companies around the state. So I will continue to be a no on this bill. You can vote your conscience. I just don't see that it benefits the private sector, the businesses, or the counties that much. Thank you.
Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And regarding Representative Lawrence's description of the bill that it doesn't do very much, it's my bill. What did you expect? Actually, what it does, members, is if you have, what it does is it raises the threshold of bonding to $50,000. $50,000, just so you know, in the construction industry is like the lowest point you can be bonded at. And so what it does, as Representative Kraft-Tharp said, it brings us up to that lowest point. It also has an automatic triggering that we don't have to go back into statute and change that bonding authority over and over and over, as bonding authorities may rise over time because it's subject to inflation. So what it will do is, instead of having, right now, counties are required to advertise absolutely every project out there. So if a county has a problem, if they have a pothole that children are falling into and they can't get them out of, this allows them to go and get an asphalt paver that maybe wouldn't qualify for a really big job, but they know he can handle it. And mostly what they're trying to do is fix that pothole so they don't lose any more children in it, and have them go and fix the pothole. It will not open that pothole fix up for a bid. Representative Lawrence is right. It won't do that. But what it will do is it will allow the counties to operate more efficiently and more effectively. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Gardner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, Representative Giroux is right about the dollars in construction. $50,000 won't even engage the first architect on a project. And when it's done, that certainly won't engage the first 17th Street law firm to fight to try to sue the architects. Isn't that right, Representative Giroux? But seriously, this bill will streamline public procurement, and that's very important. The current dollar limit is set in stone, so to speak, and was done at a time when $5,000 was a lot of money. It's still a lot of money to me, but in public contracting, it makes little sense to be publishing $5,000 jobs, which, as Representative Giroux points out, you're talking about fixing a road problem. You're talking about a building repair. Things that probably ought to be let by task order in any case, so that you don't have to let them over and over again to different people. And so for that reason, I ask for an aye vote for my colleague's bill.
Representative Kraft-Tharp.
Well, thank you, Representative Gardner. What an honor for you to come up and speak on our bill. To have Architect and Representative Gardner on the bill, you know this is a good bill. Members, this is about efficiency. This is about effectiveness. This is suggestions that come directly from the staff members who are actually doing this work. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1121. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. I think the ayes have it. 1121 is passed. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1160.
House Bill 1160 by Representatives Mitch Bush and Quorum, also Senator Todd, concerning overweight vehicle permits for divisible loads.
Representative Mitch Bush, Representative Quorum. Representative Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move House Bill 1160 and the committee report.
Please proceed. Representative Mitch Bush to the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the committee, there were two amendments offered. The first one clarifies the definition of wastewater sludge vehicles to make that absolutely clear. The second amendment makes sure that by doing the permitting process that the bill provides for, we are not jeopardizing federal transportation monies.
Is there any discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Transportation Committee report. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. The Transportation Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I ask for a yes vote on the committee report and the bill.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill removes red tape, it streamlines the process for wastewater sludge, and it also makes sure in the private sector that numerous permits are combined into one. And I urge a yes vote on this bill. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1160. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1160 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1215.
House Bill 1215 by Representative Janot, also Senator Talktrop, concerning the ability of a federal home loan bank to enforce its rights with regard to collateral subject to a security agreement.
Representative Janot.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1215. There is no committee report.
Please proceed.
Members, House Bill 1215 is a federal home loan bank lending to insurance companies. Just a little bit of history. In 1932, Congress created a system of 12 federal home loan banks, and today the federal home loan banks act as responsible lenders to more than 7,000 banks, credit unions, and insurance companies across the country. These financial institutions are the cooperative members and owners of the federal home loan banks. Under federal law, federal home loan banks must be able to quickly liquidate the collateral of a distressed borrower. In Colorado, insurance insolvency statutes could allow a court, a liquidator, or a receiver to delay a federal home loan bank from accessing its collateral. This delay could last for months or years, and it could result in a loss for the federal home loan bank, which is contrary to the intent of Congress. This is a great bill. I ask for a yes vote.
Representative Dorr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Janot, I agree the bill's good. As a federal home loan bank, is it similar or dissimilar like Freddie and Fannie and other quasi-federal banks out there that I know take on loans and do some underwriting?
Federal home loan.
Representative Janot.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Federal home loan banks, as I'd mentioned, are regional. There are 12 regional federal home loan banks in the United States. They were enacted by Congress back in the 1930s due to the Great Depression, and they have never had a default on any of their loans, and so they are an entity in themselves.
Representative Dorr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess what I'm getting at, though, is so what does the other banks have this already, and the Federal Home Loan Bank is trying to get this I don't know if it's protection, but for distressed loans? It already exists for the other institutions?
It's to
Representative Janot.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's to protect the other institutions because other banks, other credit unions within this state borrow from federal home loan banks. And so a lot of what results within this state for borrowing is a result of what is put forth by the federal home loan banks.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1215. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. House Bill 1215 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1126.
House Bill 1126 by Representatives Williams and Buckner, also Senator Nicholson, concerning the requirement to include notification to a patient regarding the patient's breast tissue classification with required mammography report.
Representative Williams.
Mr. Chair, I move House Bill 1126 in the committee report.
All right, thank you, Representative Buckner. To the committee report. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill is an important women's health bill. It's going to ensure that our doctors notify women if they have dense breast tissue. We had plenty of support from the bill. Came out 10-2, asked for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, all in favor of the committee report say aye. All opposed say no. The committee report is adopted. To the bill.
I move the
Representative Buckner.
I move the bill, House Bill 1126.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1126? Seeing none, all in favor of House Bill 1126, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. 1126 is adopted. Mr. Kohler, please read the title. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report. Pardon?
The House will come back to order. Mr. Kohler, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration of the following attached bills being second reading thereof and makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bills 1121, 1126, amended 1160, amended 1177, 1194, 1215. Passed on second reading or on a gross place on the calendar for third and final passage.
There are no amendments at the desk. Representative Tyler, actually, I need a motion first. It's kind of the right motion. There are no amendments at the desk. The question for the House is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representatives Quorum, Fields, McLaughlin, Melton, and Szabo. Representative Melton and Szabo. And Del Grosso. Representative Gardner. We're losing people here. Yeah. Representative Szabo was trying to get the Senate in order, so. Close the machine with 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent. The report of the committee whole is adopted. Representative Szabo is not fined because she was dealing with the Senate. That's a fine enough. Madam Majority Leader. Or Mr. Assistant Majority Leader, whoever wants to make us a motion. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills.
Seeing no objection, the House will proceed out of order for consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1238.
House Bill 1238, Representative Duran, House Senator 7, concerning a supplemental appropriation of the Department of Human Services.
Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to concur with Senate amendments. Basically, what this amendment does is it provides funding to maintain the CHAT system. And for those of you that don't know, CHAT is basically the database that we use for child care services to determine benefits and so forth. So there's a difference of $630,000 to provide funding to maintain the current system, and then also doing a needs assessment for $304,200. So I ask for your support.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before the House is concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1238. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Lawrence, Pabon, Murray, Stevens, and close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, the House concurs in Senate amendments to House Bill 1238. Representative Duran. Yep. I need someone to do repassage. Do you want to do it? Representative Duran.
I ask for the repassage of House Bill 1238.
Seeing no discussion, the question before the House is the repassage of House Bill 1238 as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Repassage. You want me to remind the old motions that you made? Representative Court, McLaughlin, and Priola. Close the machine. With 51 aye votes, 13 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, the House repasses House Bill 1238 as amended. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1243.
House Bill 1243 by Representative Duran, all Senator Stebbins, concerning a supplemental appropriation of the Department of Personnel and Administration.
Representative Duran, to get hissed at again.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to concur with the Senate amendment.
Please explain what the Senate did.
Now, don't hiss too much. This is actually an additional $2 million payment for claims due to the North Fork fire, and so trying to restore some of the victims from that fire. I ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before the House is to concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1243. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Giroux. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, the House concurs in Senate amendments to House Bill 1243. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1243 as amended.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is the repassage of House Bill 1243 as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative May, Everett, Conti, Humphrey, Pabon, Priola, and Sonnenberg. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, the House repasses House Bill 1243 as amended. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1251.
House Bill 1251 by Representative May, all Senator Stebbins, concerning adjustments to the amount of total program funding for public schools for the 2013-14 budget year in connection with making an appropriation.
Representative May.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the House concurrence on Senate amendment.
Please, someone explain what the useless body did. Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the useless body actually did something very good here. I know, that was hard. When Representative Duran moved the previous bill, someone asked me, why is the Department of Personnel paying for the Lower North Fork fire? That's the way we pay our bills. And so that was the reason it was paid out through the Lower North Fork Fire. What this bill does is, in order to find the dollars, it takes dollars out of the state education fund to pay that bill. Just so you know, I think there have been roughly 10, maybe 13 members or individuals, residents, homeowners that were impacted by the Lower North Fork Fire that have received compensation from the state. The individuals whose family members were lost in the fire have not received compensation. Those lawsuits are still in process, and the JAG is still in process. But this takes care of those lesser claims. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is a concurrent Senate amendment to House Bill 1251. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Close the machine with 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent. The House concurs in Senate amendments to House Bill 1251. Madam Majority Leader. Can we repass?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1251 as amended.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the repassage of House Bill 1251 as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Close the machine with 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent. The House repasses House Bill 1251 as amended. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Since the Senate hasn't sent us a resolution, I think it's probably time to go to committee. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until tomorrow.
Seeing no objection, the balance of calendar will be laid over until tomorrow. Announcements and introductions. Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For the members of the Public Health and Human Services Committee, we will not be hearing House Bill 1192 by Representative Joshi today.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the Business, Labor, Economic Workforce Development Committee, we will meet at 10:15. 10:15. Please report across the street. Thank you.
Representative McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to invite all of you to the Claw Caucus Lunch on Thursday, which will be held at the First Baptist Church across the street at noon. We will be providing lunch. There will be some discussions and some awards given. It should be a fun opportunity to get a free lunch and learn more about animal welfare. That's Thursday at noon.
Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And colleagues, don't forget about the Childhood Obesity Prevention Caucus meeting tomorrow morning at 7:15. For breakfast, we'll start promptly at 7:30 over at LSBB. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
Representative Conti. And Zabo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, as you may have seen the beautiful photo that was shared with us the other day from our esteemed minority leader, we have a new little one that has graced one of our members, and that is Mr. Representative Brian Del Grosso, House Minority Leader. And on behalf of House Republicans, we just wanted to bestow on him a gift for the baby and for the family. And so we'd like to present our esteemed minority leader with that at this time on behalf of House Republicans.
Any further announcements or introductions? Seeing none, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until 1 p.m. this afternoon, at which point we will adjourn until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until 1 p.m. today. Have fun in committees.